So, our final speaker today probably needs no introduction, but I'll introduce anyway. Well known for his dazzling intellect and dashing good looks, legendary football manager and pop sensation in the former Yugoslavian states. That's me, obviously. I'm going to start with a story, and as I start telling you the pieces of this story, I want you to raise your hand as soon as you recognize what the story is. So it starts off in a world unlike ours. There is a powerful ring that is lost, and then it's found by a short, sort of humanoid type person. A large battle begins. There are elves and dwarves, and the ring has to be destroyed. All right, so you guys know I'm talking about Wagner's Ring Cycle, right? Let me tell you another one. This one starts with a young boy in England who discovers, you've already got hands up? Wow. He has scruffy hair, kind of a loner, doesn't have many friends. And one day comes to find that he's actually the potential world-changing magician. He then discovers that the world all around him actually is full of magic. He gets some mentors to show him around this magical world. And then, of course, he saves the world. You got that one? So that's Tim Hunter, who was in the Books of Magic comic book about 5 years before Harry Potter came out. And I tell you this because all of our stories follow a similar pattern. And a couple of the speakers yesterday referenced the hero's journey. But I wanted today to go through this so that we're all on the same page. And this is how I got into the hero world, I guess, is the teaching the hero's journey as a way to teach heroism. So let's start. We'll use a couple of examples. The hero's journey term comes from Joseph Campbell, who essentially wrote the book on the hero's journey. It's something that's been identified before that and certainly used a lot since that. But he had this idea after studying hero stories from around the world, from centuries of text and oral tradition, that there seemed to be one story underlying all of our stories. And so I'll use a couple of examples, and he had about 50 different steps in his hero's journey. I'm going to do 5 today, because if I did 50, I would probably go over the 12 minutes. So we'll use this guy and this girl, Dorothy from The Wizard of Oz. So the first step is the mundane world, which is the normal, typical, boring place that the hero starts the story. And being the mundane world, it doesn't have to be boring to everybody. It could be, well, it's important that it is just boring to the central character. So we start off in Harry's world, and he lives under the staircase in a house that looks like all the other houses, and they drive a car just like all the other cars. He lives with his horrible aunt, his horrible uncle, and his even more horrible cousin. That's his mundane world. He doesn't want to be there. Dorothy has a similar start. She lives in Kansas, which is pretty boring. She has no friends, also pretty boring, except for a dog. And she lives in black and white, which is really boring. And she sings a song about how boring it is living in this boring place, and that she wants something else. She's imagining something over the rainbow. So then comes the second step, which is the call to adventure. And this is something or someone that tells the hero that there's something else out there, that they don't have to be stuck in the mundane world. So for Harry, he gets a letter, and then thousands of letters spewing out of the chimney, etc. And it literally says, Harry, you don't have to be stuck in this mundane world, or muggle world. There's another world out there for you. Dorothy has a call to adventure that's a little different. It's a tornado. She didn't have much choice in the matter. But the tornado is the thing that changes her story. And the call to adventure can be quite varied. It might be that you've been bitten by a radioactive spider. It could be any kind of thing that shifts your worldview a little bit. Then the hero has to cross the threshold. The threshold is just an entryway. They need to get from that mundane world into this new exciting world. And often it can be just a simple step, like running into a wall at platform 9 3/4. Often there are some sorts of tests there as well, or some guardians of some sort. Dorothy's story, The Wizard of Oz, they seem to be quite heavy-handed with the hero's journey. So when they saw her, they wanted to show us Dorothy going into a new world, they actually changed the color, right? So she actually walks out the door, crossing the threshold, literally, of her house, and she's into this colorful, new, exciting world. So once the hero's in the new world, they go on the path of trials. And this is a set of challenges. It's where they learn new things, they meet new people, possibly friends, enemies, mentors. So Harry gets on that train, meets a few friends straight away, he meets an enemy straight away, gets to school and finds a few mentors. And Dorothy, also learns spells, potions, how not to fall off a broom, all of these important things for getting through the year at Hogwarts. Dorothy's path, again, with the knock you over the head with our symbolism, is actually a path. It's the yellow brick road. And so she starts along this path. She meets an enemy. She meets friends. She goes through challenges. Certainly getting attacked by flying monkeys is a bit of a challenge. Then the hero comes to the end of the story. And this is the important part of the story because it is when they have succeeded in the new world. So the hero gets to the end and they go back to the world that they started in to share their knowledge. So Harry, when he decides to go back, it's the end of the year, he gets back on the same train, he's the same boy, looks the same, but he's a very fundamentally different boy. And because of everything he's learned, he goes back and is able to change the world, make the world slightly different. Now, changing the world can mean anything. It can mean changing a small area around you, or it could literally mean changing the world. Dorothy has the same thing. She goes back to exactly where she came from, but she's changed. She's learned about the value of friendship. She's learned to appreciate what she has in her family. She's changed. Now, the reason I share the hero's journey, and I think that it's such a valuable tool, is that it is our journey. We go through these same journeys over and over through our lives. It might be when you started university, that call to adventure, that whatever it was that you chose your field of study. It may be that you were inspired by somebody. It might be that you read a newspaper article. Then you get there. You're nervous on the first day. You have to meet these new people that you've never seen before. And what are they going to be? Are they going to hold you back? Or are they going to push you forward? So I want you to imagine yourself as the main character of your story, or as the hero of your story. Now, I can tell you that everyone has a hero's journey, and you might think, well, that means everyone is a hero. But I want to absolutely say that is not the case. There's something else. There's something else that makes people heroic. And we'll get to that in a minute. One of the things that I think is fantastic about the hero's journey is that if we understand that we are on or in a story, we can use the stories of all time to help us through our struggles. So Campbell said it. He said, you don't have to be alone on this journey because the heroes of all time have already done it. Now, have they done exactly what you're doing? Absolutely not. No one's done your unique story, but they have gone through those steps. So you're nervous on the first day of a new job? Harry Potter was pretty nervous on the first day of Hogwarts. What techniques did he use? You don't have to just use fictional heroes for this tool either. You can use your parents, your friends. They've all been through heroes' journeys. They can give you advice. So it's simply asking. I think someone that really understood this was King Arthur. So here he is, a boy king of England. No one's ever been king of England before, so he can't ask the last guy. So he has this round table that he surrounds with people to help, people whose journeys have changed them, have turned them into something wise. So he has a place for Merlin the magician. He has a place for other regional kings. He has a place for the best knights. And Guinevere's there. There's a whole ton of advice for him to pull on. Again, no one's done his specific story, but he knows that he can get help from those other stories. I want to share something from a great philosopher, not actually Mumble Happy Feet, but his mentor. So this idea that everyone's a hero because they're on a hero's journey, I want to dispel. And towards the end of Happy Feet, Mumble jumps off this huge ice cliff and starts swimming after some boats to save all the penguins. He's decided that's where the solution is. And he's gone through all of these challenges. He's leaving behind a group of friends that he's met on the way, and he's leaving behind his mentor, Lovelace. And Lovelace yells out to him as he's swimming away, "Mumble Happy Feet, I'm going to be telling your story long after you're gone." And for me, that's a key to what makes a hero, is that someone tells your story. The reason that that we can talk about an Anne Frank or Achilles or any of those great heroes that Lotta shared yesterday morning is that people keep telling their stories, and they keep telling their stories because of the lessons that they have for us. And you've seen people reference this a lot in the last 2 days as well, right? So I want you to think about creating your own round table. Think about who might sit at your perfect imaginary round table. I absolutely don't want you to put a round table in your bedroom and have people sit around it all day waiting for you to ask advice. But think about that. Who would you put on there if there was no barriers? Someone from history, someone famous, maybe your grandma. Who would go on that round table? And when you're struggling in your hero's journey, sit down at that table and ask. Ask them what they would do. And it might sound a bit weird. And I think someone said yesterday, this is something you should probably do in a private place. But ask the question and you will get answers. So that's my challenge for you today, is to, tonight, think about who would be on your round table. And the cool thing that you can do is, if there's real people on that round table, send them an invitation. Send them a letter and say, "I'd like to put you on my round table." Thank you guys very much. The Hero Roundtables are the global events that ask the question, what is a hero? You've just seen one hero talk. To find more and join the conversation, visit our website or social media.